Chibi, Chapter 2. On his next visit, Sato-san saw that Chibi and her brothers and sisters were in a fine place for growing ducklings. The water was thick with green plants to eat, and there was plenty of space to practice flying. However, the little Kamo were not alone. Gold, red, and silver carp darted through the water. Square-headed turtles scavenged the bottom for bits of food, and dappled water snakes sunned themselves on rocks. There were swans in the moat, too. The swans, the ducks discovered, were the least friendly of the creatures who shared the moat. The swans would suddenly appear on the water like a fleet of white sailing ships. When the ducks were in their path, they hissed and trumpeted in a terrifying way. Chibi had the hardest time keeping out of the swans' path. When she saw them coming, she would paddle as fast as her little webbed feet could go to get out of the reach of their clapping beaks. People continued to visit the duck family and to take pictures of them. There were always a crowd standing at the iron railing around the moat. Even joggers circling the gardens paused to have a look. Everyone knew Chibi. They worried with her when the swans got too close. Sato-san visited every day. He always had a special "good day" for Chibi. "Konnichiwa, Chibi," he would call, and his voice would echo off the rocks. In June, the rainy season arrived in Tokyo. There were gentle showers every day. Uchibori-dori was always slick and shiny with water. But Sato-san and the duck watchers still came to visit the ducks. They stood in puddles under their umbrellas, smiling at the sight of Chibi and her brothers and sisters playing in the raindrops. Then came unusual weather. It began to rain harder and more steadily. Typhoons blew in almost every day. Powerful kaze drove the rain down in sheets and torrents. The wind also tore the branches from cherry trees and bent the willows until their leaves covered the ground. Sheets of rain pelted the surface of the moat, and the water was whipped into a sea of whitecaps. Now only a few people braved the outdoors, and there was hardly a car on Uchibori-dori. Sato-san was worried about Chibi and the other ducks. He tried to fight his way against the wind to get to the moat, but when he was knocked off his feet, he gave up and went home. The moat began to fill up. Water poured over the spillway in an angry, foaming waterfall. Trees, roots, pieces of plastic, even the golden carp were washed over the edge and carried along with the rushing tide. It was a flood. The swans had long since left the water for high ground. They huddled together, their heads tucked under their wings. The snakes had disappeared into the crevices into the rocks. The turtles were safe on the muddy bottom of the moat inside their shell houses. But where were the Kamo? That was the question in many people's minds. Sato-san sat in his apartment and worried about the ducks, especially about Chibi. The storms went on for days and days. Then the rain stopped. The skies cleared and people were able to go outside again. The duck watchers hurried to the emperor's gardens to look for the ducks, but there was no sign of them. Sato-san walked the whole length of the moat. At last he caught sight of Mama Duck, but she had only seen seven ducks with her. 3 ducklings were missing, and one of them was Chibi. Sato-san immediately organized a search party. People checked the moat from one end to the other, looking everywhere for footprints, feathers, bones, any clue to the disappearance of the young ducks. Even the emperor's guards and gardeners joined the search. Meanwhile, Oka-san swam up and down, quacking frantically. When she failed to find her missing children on the water, she took to the air and flew along the banks and stone walls above the moat. Then she flew over Uchibori-dori to the Mitsui office park, where she searched the old nest in the ivy. But Chibi and the other 2 ducklings were nowhere to be seen. 2 days later, one of the ducklings was found. dead. It had been drowned in the flood. After the news was announced, hundreds of people brought fresh flowers and made a small shrine at the spillway as a memorial to the drowned duckling. Sato-san took pictures of the shrine. He thought sadly of the other two missing ducks. If Chibi's larger brother had been caught by the force of the typhoon, what were the tiny ducks' chance for survival? The next morning, the second missing duck suddenly appeared. No one knew where it had been, or how it had managed to find its way home. Yet, there it was, seeming none the worse for wear. But where was Chibi? Now something truly amazing happened. Sato-san heard a loud quacking at the far end of the moat. He ran toward the sound. Oka-san heard it too. She took off and flew in the same direction. Before either of them had reached the spot, a tiny figure floated into view. It was Chibi. She was balanced like a surfer on a piece of styrofoam. Somehow, the brave little duck had been able to stay afloat on the makeshift raft during the raging storm. The plastic had saved her life. Click! Sato-san's camera captured the happy moment. The story of Chibi's return, along with Sato-san's picture, was the front page story in all the Tokyo papers. When the emperor learned of the brave struggle of the Kamo, he ordered a special, strong, handsome duck house built for them. It stands there today in the moat of the Imperial Gardens in Tokyo, Japan. Every year, Chibi and her brothers and sisters come back to nest and raise broods of their own. And if you ever visit there, you may notice a certain elderly Japanese gentleman nearby taking pictures. Hope you enjoyed the book.